ready for this? It's showtime. Lights, fans, action. Oh yeah, we've got action. Faster, tougher, more ferocious. There's nothing like League. This is the Betfred Super League.
Got me here. It took a big chunk out of me. Bleeding. It's bleeding. Oh no, it's bleeding. The thing just ripped my ear off. What do you think?
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Eddie and Stevo, the podcast, as we look back on a memorable grand final and look forward to the upcoming Ashes series as England coach Shaun Wane announces his 24 men he thinks will bring home the biggest prize in rugby league over the next month or so. We're here with the supporters always of Betfred, the game's major sponsors, and Stevo and I were lucky enough to be their guests at Old Trafford on Saturday night. The great and the good were there, and just before we took our places to watch history unfold, I caught up with the former player and now Wakefield assistant coach Luke Gale to get his view on what he thought was about to unfold.
I think it's going to be a great game. We've got dry weather for the first time as long as I can remember. The weather's dry, it looks like a summer's day, and I think we're going to see I'm hoping to see an expansive game and both sides show what they're about.
Well, a lot of people say to me, do you miss doing the commentary? And no, I don't, if I'm honest. I'd love to come to functions like this, see people like you. Do you miss playing on occasions like this?
I was just going to say, Eddie, I get asked that question this year more than literally everyone I see, do you miss playing? And I genuinely don't miss playing. I miss these big occasions. I remember the first game at Headingley where it kicked off our season. We went to Headingley with Wakefield. I wanted to play that game. The playoff game at Lee 2 weeks ago, I walked in here today, the Theatre of Dreams, and I'd love to play in this game tonight. So when you say miss it, I genuinely don't know, but I still love the game, and I want it tonight to be a fantastic occasion. And I want both. We've got superstars littered all the way across this, and I want to showcase that tonight. I want them to showcase all the skills, and I don't want it to be an 8-6 game. I want them to go be expansive.
36-38 would be lovely, wouldn't
it would be fantastic. And you could get the old cynics who say, oh, it's not rugby league, we've scored too many points. But Mikey Lewis, as you said, I think Mikey is due a big game. And I think on this occasion, I know what he'd be thinking. I've been hammered for 6 weeks saying I've not done this, I've not done that. He wants to go out there tonight and stand up and be counted. So I'm expecting a real good game from Mikey, and I probably want KR to win. A bit like you said, I think we need a new
name.
Yeah, we do. Wigan have been fantastic. I don't want to discredit what Wigan have done because they're great. Matty Pete is a breath of fresh air, and they're a genuine champion side. But I think for the sport, Eddie, I think it'd be great to see a new name on the cup.
Well, we nearly had that in 2017, didn't we? You know, I'll never ever forget that night, Luke. That drop goal from you that beat Saints again, last minute Saints, but you beat them, and you got to Old Trafford, and things went awry. We all know what went on. I mean, that was a fantastic year, both for you personally and for Castleford.
Yeah, massive, Eddie. I still remember the commentary, and it's Luke Gale. I was only with my brother a couple of days ago, and he says, we're just talking. And he said, Luke, Eddie, could you make you sound like you're having a good game? And you did many a time. I'd have an average game and might do a nice pass. And it's Luke Gale with him, and you did, so I owe you for that, Eddie, actually. But no, it was a fantastic couple of years. 16, we had a good 16, around 5th, 6th spot, and we kind of knew that we had a great team. We had a couple of missing links that come in, and then we played some fantastic rugby. We did, and we got to it were dramatic scenes. We wanted to hit that semi-final. There were all sorts going on. I thought we'd blown it, to be honest. I genuinely thought we'd blown the chance, and it was a bit of a silly penalty right on the hooter.
Well, do you know, I said that night James Child has taken the biggest and bravest
It
decision.
was. I don't think they do that nowadays.
They don't.
They don't do that.
They don't.
That wouldn't have been a penalty now because I think they're scared to do that now. You know, with any big player now, and it's could be a sin binning or could be they just pull themselves away from that. That wouldn't have been a penalty now. So
you knew how difficult and how desperate it was to kick that goal.
Do you know what? It never even crossed my mind. No, it never did.
Well, you knew it was going to go over, didn't you?
I just kicked the goal and then we were in. But I thought we'd blown it, and that kind of gave us another chance. And I missed one drop goal, but I struck it quite nice. And whenever you strike it quite nice, I wanted the ball again, and I just kicked it and set off running.
You led the way for sport to take Sweet Caroline as the anthem.
Well,
and Castleford never get the credit for that.
It's on boxing, it's everywhere, isn't it?
But it started at Weldon Road in 2017. There's no doubt about that.
We had some fantastic nights. Ultimately, we fell up short in the biggest game of all. But that's what tonight's all about, Eddie. That's what it's about. Wigan are favourites. Can KR come and do them? Of course they can come and do them. So anything happens, it's a one-off game. And Wigan have been great the last 6 weeks. Hull KR haven't, if I'm being honest. We beat them. They've beat Warrington to win the league leaders, and they've kind of meandered the way through the last 6 weeks. But I think Willie Peters' message to the boys, it writes itself because they've been written off. Yeah. So I think that's enough fuel for Willie Peters and his boys, and I hope they do it, to be honest. And that's not taken away from Wigan.
I said before in here, my head says Wigan, but my heart is saying Hull KR.
Yeah,
I think you're the same.
I'm the exact same. Yeah, I'm the exact same. I'd love Hull KR to do it. I just think Wigan will be a little bit too good.
Well, we all know now what happened. History was made by Hull Kingston Rovers as they beat the reigning champions 24 points to 6, and they completed a remarkable treble. Stevo, no doubt the best team won.
In the end, Eddie, it was very convincing. It was a strange game because Wigan seemed to be full of power, and Hull Kingston Rovers, like they did last year, they looked very nervous. It didn't zone. He took them, and it wasn't until that Wigan had that try disallowed that all of a sudden everybody sparked up and said, "Wow, this could be our game," and they took control of it. They defended exceptionally well, and let's face it, Mikey Lewis, what a game he had.
Fantastic, wasn't he? I wonder, though, what would have happened if, first of all, Liam Marshall hadn't dropped the ball with the line begging, and Bevan French allowed it to slip from his grasp at the last millisecond as he went to touchdown. That would have made it 12-0, Stevo. I wonder what would have happened then.
Well, we'll never know, Eddie, but because the point is that they were realising that this is Hull Kingston Rovers, that they were going to say, "Oh, no, not again," because they were leaving a few gaps. And if Wigan had scored, that would have built their confidence, and certainly. But I think it was just the kick up the backside that the Rovers needed. And then they took full control. Also, I've got to say, what a great move by their coach as well. Because normally, Mikey Lewis gets involved with the first receiver from the play of the ball. And Peters had him playing not just one out wide, but two, or sometimes even third position out wide. And that allowed him to have a little bit more freedom. And Wigan didn't seem to be able to just close him down. If it had been on that first receiver so many times, like we've seen it over the season, maybe it would have been a bit different. But it was a smart move by the coach. Get him out wide where he could have a go on his own. He was tremendous.
He was tremendous. You're absolutely right. And Hull KR's defence, that was superb. They hardly gave Wigan a sniff, did they?
Yeah. As I say, that apart from the first 10, 15 minutes where they looked a little bit lost, a little bit nervous, but once they started to gain that control, the defence was just absolutely sensational. They never allowed Wigan to get rolling along with their big pack. It didn't happen. Simple as that. And everyone had to admit that the best team won by a country mile.
And you've also got to say, what a job the powers that be at Craven Park have done over the past few years, joining an elite band of clubs to win all 3 trophies on offer in the Super League era. Stevo, I think it was less than 10 years ago they were relegated when Salford beat them in the £1 million game. Boy, have they bounced back.
Yeah, and look, people have to realise that maybe there was something wrong with coaches, give them an opportunity. Sometimes you've got to look at yourself, look into the mirror. That's the best way. You think when things are going bad, just look into the mirror and say, where am I going wrong? And that's what they've done.
You've mentioned Mikey Lewis already, winning the Rob Burrow Award as man of the match. He got 25 votes from the journalists. No one else came close. And put the disappointment of missing out on the Man of Steel award behind him. I mean, he's a Marmite character, isn't he? Opposition hate him. Whole KR love him, but boy, he was good on Saturday night.
And not only good, Eddie, he's good for our game. You know, it's not often we can sort of praise great stars, you know, and look, when you look at some of the players in the past that have played for Hull Kingston Rovers, Roger Millward, he was a sensational star, and we found another one, and we found it in Mikey Lewis. And look at the crowds. That it's packed. It's a full house every time that they play.
And that end of Old Trafford was full from top to bottom. And I must give Matty Peter mention, I think, Stevo. A wonderful, wonderful gesture from him. He went up and across to the Hull KR fans afterwards and gave them a wave and a round of applause. That was a really great gesture from a losing coach.
Well, it's what you need from a coach, Eddie. Someone that understands when they don't play well, but someone who makes a reason for them not playing well. And that was the defence from Hull Kingston Rovers. They were outstanding. There was not just 1, 2 tackles. Sometimes there were 4 players into the ball carrier at one impact. And it just knocked Wigan out of the competition.
Where would you rate this Hull Kingston Rovers team, Stevo, in the history of the club, the game, with this achievement?
Eddie, when you have a team that wins all 3 awards, it's got to be up there with one of the best. Simple as that. It's a little bit, can they do what the Penrith side have done down in Australia to repeat it and come back to Old Trafford for next season as well? That's when you've got to start saying, yeah, that's a great side. You look at the old Wigan outfit, Eddie, when they just was winning everything, any trophy that was available, they were gonna win it. Simple as that.
And they say you've got to lose one to win one, and they lost, of course, last year, came back and won this year. So yeah, they'll be after the 3 in a row at Old Trafford in 2026. Okay. End of the day, hearts ruled heads. Rovers won in great style, becoming only the 5th club ever to win a grand final. That's fantastic that we've got a new name on the trophy. Here's Luke Gale again in the immediate aftermath of that final whistle.
Great game for the neutral, I thought. I thought KR deserved it.
Me too.
I thought they deserved it. We spoke before the game, Eddie, didn't we, about the fire in them OKR bellies, and Willie Peters' team talk so easy this week. And you could see they played like that. They played with so much fire and so much. They just looked like they wanted it a bit more. And I think they out-Wigan Wigan, for want of a better phrase.
They did, and for 20 minutes, Wigan were the better side.
Massive turning point, and he got the man of the match. I think Mikey Lewis's first try. Mikey Lewis went through from nothing, and then I think he's one of them freak players that when he feels a moment, he takes it with both hands. And then they were just chucking the ball to Mikey Lewis, and every time the crowd erupts and it looks dangerous. And in fact, I don't think they give it to him enough in the second half. It winding me up watching it. I think he'd give the ball to the best player on the pitch and let him do something, because every time he did something, he'd beat a player out of nowhere. But I thought it was a great team performance. I think it caps off what a great season Hull KR have had, and credit Willie Peters. He's some coach. He is some coach. I'm really pleased for him. I know him on a personal level, and he's a great guy, and I'm so chuffed for him. I know that'll mean a lot.
What worries me is that Willie Peters now goes into camp with the Australians. Dear God, we don't need that, do we?
I did see that last week, headline, Willie Peters assistant with the Aussies, but he's a great guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I know he might lack for stature, but I reckon he's got a loud bark, so to speak.
And he's a giant in the game now.
He is. You can just tell the people play for him, the players play for him. I just thought it was a great team performance, and I'm really chuffed. And I thought they deserved it.
Yeah, they did. For Wigan now, I mean, a season that has produced nothing, which you can't say very often about Wigan. Where do they go from here?
I still think they're a great side at it. I know like you say, they've come up with nothing. I thought middle way through the season they kind of meandered the way through. Bevan French come back and give them a bit of hope, but ultimately they probably didn't sign enough. Eddie, I don't think they signed any players in last season. I don't think they bolstered the squad, and they probably need a little bit more. And what a great thing for our sport, though.
Luke, you could pull the boots on tomorrow. You look fantastic. Thanks for talking to us.
Cheers, Eddie.
All the best.
Yes, so it's now all about the first Ashes series for 22 years that kicks off at Wembley on the 25th of October and takes in matches at Everton and Headingley. Now, on Monday, Shaun Wane named his 24-man England squad. Headline news, of course, Man of Steel Jake Connor is excluded. Other notable absentees include Junior and Semba, last year's Young Player of the Year winner from Wigan, Luke Thompson, Brad O'Neill, Matty Nicholson. It's Connor's omission, though, that obviously drew the most comment. Shaun Wane has said, Stevo, he can't understand the obsession with the Man of Steel award. He doesn't know who selects it, and the same goes for the Dream Team. He says he doesn't know who's in the Dream Team. So there you have it. It's his opinion, it's his choice that counts, and the 24 men he's named now have to do the job.
It's not going to be easy to do what you call to do a job. He's gone for experience. There's no two ways about that. There's quite a few that he's selected that stunned me. I just can't believe that that John Bateman has been selected. He didn't have a great season down under, and one perhaps, well, AJ Brimson from the Gold Coast Titans.
Yeah, who is he, this fella?
Well, he's a very good player, Eddie. A lot of people don't realise that he actually has played a State of Origin game for Queensland. And it's through his mother's English heritage that he made it quite clear that he'd like to play for England, because that's how he got the opportunity, through his mother. And it's a sort of situation where, look, the English coach said, yeah, I know this kid. He's a very versatile three-quarter. He can play full-back, or he can pull in at the stand-off, or even at scrum half. He's very, very quick. And I think it's going to be a great advantage for England to have him there. It'll be difficult to, perhaps, will he take the gamble and sort of play him straight off from the start, or will he just put him on the bench, and then when he feels that he needs a bit of a lift, he'll bring him off the bench and see what he can do. But he's a very, very talented player.
Yeah, 12 tries this year, they say, and 25 appearances in the NRL. That's not too bad. And I must admit, when I looked at his name and had a look at that was about all I knew about him. But you've explained that he's a quick player. He can play in a number of positions, so he just might hold the key. Will Mikey Lewis play, Stevo? Will he?
Oh, he's got to. He's got to. Look, you can't have a man that's won the man of the match with so many votes. I mean, it was outstanding. And when I look through the team, he's selected players that deep down he knows that it can be safe, like Daryl Clark, John Bateman, as we've mentioned. But you look at Mikey Lewis, he's got to be, but will he start him? It's going to be difficult. You can't just say to your captain, George Williams, you won't be starting the game. I think that George Williams, but at least you've got to have Mikey Lewis on the bench, ready to explode, because the man's in top form. I said it before, and I've said it all along. If you're going to beat the Australians, you have got to select players that are in their top form positions. And I look at a few that he's selected, and maybe quite a lot of fans that say, oh, that's a bit of a surprise. And he's a bit of a surprise. But you always get that. If they win the Ashes, Eddie, it'll all be forgotten and say, what a great coach.
Absolutely. And Shaun, is very, very loyal to the players who have served him well in the past. The likes of George Williams, as you've stated, Harry Smith, who didn't have a bad grand final. He's brought Callum Watkins back in as well, Stevo, at 34 years of age. Now, I don't want to be ageist, but he's clocking on a bit.
Yeah, and there's quite a few out there that, shall we say, they're at the end of their careers. But look, Shaun has just made it quite clear that he knows what this squad can do. He doesn't have to sort of build up their confidences because there are so many experienced players in that squad. And that's a mighty help. It's the defence that we have to work hard on, because the Australians have got some wonderful, wonderful players, and we've got to defend very similar to what Hull Kingston Rovers did in the grand final. If we can produce collectively a performance in defence like the Rovers did on Saturday, then we've got a chance.
Now, the Aussies have named 7 new faces. So looking down the 2 lists today, all right, saying Shaun's confident. How about you? How confident are you?
It's difficult to sort of put myself in the coach's office, shall we say, sat behind the desk and saying, well, these are the players that I think that can do it. Look, we all know that Australia, perhaps, they would have at least 5, 6 top quality players in every single position. We don't have the benefit of that, but we do have the benefit of having, 6 of 7 players that play down under. Yeah. So that's also an incentive, and the knowledge that they can produce at the top level. And let's face it, you'd have to say that, to play down under, to play with one of the regular teams, they could pick maybe 3 touring sides, Eddie, and it still would be difficult to beat them. But if we have to defend for 80 minutes, not 79, not 72, we have got to defend for 80 minutes. We've got to knock the confidence.
We talked about Hearts ruling heads at Old Trafford on the weekend, hoping that Hull KR would come up and be the 5th winners of the trophy. That worked.
Yeah.
This all starts in 2 weeks' time, Stevo. So let's keep fingers, eyes and toes crossed. Other news to catch up on just a bit briefly. St Helens have parted company with Paul Wellens in the last week, as predicted on the podcast last week. And James Roby, another star of the past, he looks like he's going too. He's been a leadership, performance and culture coach for the past 2 years, but they're saying that he's off to pastures new as well. I think the new broom is sweeping clean at the Totally Wicked Stadium right now.
Well, to be fair, they made it quite clear that if they didn't get to the grand final and win a trophy, then the brush had been taken out of the cupboard and swept right the way through it. Simple as that. And you mentioned it earlier, Eddie, the fact that Hull Kingston Rovers did exactly the same a few years back when they were at their lowest. And they just said, we've got to do something different. And they did. And they bought great players, great coach. And that's sometimes what you've got to do, especially to say, look, the fans turn up, they pay, put their hands in their pocket, and we've got to give them something that they can rejoice about. And sometimes it needs a kick up the backside, and memories are just memories, Eddie.
Yeah, they are. It's harsh. It's harsh on Paul Wellens, I think. But anyway, let's see what 2026 brings for the Saints. And it's not always great players who make great coaches. But one young man who is returning to Leeds in a newly created role responsible for impact and growth, whatever that means, is Danny Maguire. Leeds are bringing Danny Maguire back into the fold.
What a smart move. Absolutely. Look, when you've got such a talented player that retires, they should keep them. Don't let them slip away, because they've been coached over many, many years and they understand what they need. And let's face it, a hero at Leeds.
Oh, very much so. Hero at Leeds, and he's coming back to hopefully wave a bit of magic at Headingley once again. Okay, that's it, Steve. I've just had a thought. It's about 70 sleeps to Christmas, but it's less than a fortnight now, less than 15 sleeps to the start of the Ashes. We can't wait, can we? Can't wait.
Oh, it's just going to be fantastic. And I say, look, if you haven't bought a ticket for Wembley for the first test, go get them.
Yeah, it's a great thought. It's a great thought. Go get them, England. We'll be back to review the first test in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll be right the way through the series till the end of it all. Steve, always a pleasure. You continue to enjoy and sleep well over the next 10 days or so, and Wembley beckons. Talk to you then.
Yeah, all the best, Eddie, and I can't wait to walk down that Wembley way.